Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap video. Today we still have the featured location Shuri's Lab in effect, and with that, any card that you play there is going to double in power. And I wanted to share with you guys the deck that I feel like is the best deck for this location, and it's not really what you would think. So with Shuri's Lab, there are a lot of high-end builds. You can consolidate your power with Venom, send it across the board with Arnim Zola. You can do a lot of really good and really powerful things. But what can block that? Counterplay. And so this list is looking at countering the opponent's plays. And so whether that be doing a Sera on 5 into a Shang-Chi and another card, we have the Angela, Mysterio, and Bishop trio that all work together. So each of Mysterio's tokens that will buff up your Angela for the one played in her lane, and Bishop for each one that was played onto the board. We have the Hood, which can generate a 1-cost demon token that's a cheap 12 power that you can throw into Shuri's Lab. Or one of my personal favorite play lines is doing Sera on 5 into a Captain Marvel and a Hulkbuster on 6. That's going to end up being about 32 power that can just range across the board. She can move to whatever lane she needs to find that win condition, and 32 power moving across the board is absolutely insane. And so the goal of this list is to take what the opponent is doing, make them think that they're going to find that win condition, and then flipping it on them on that last turn to find your 4 and 8 cube wins. Alright, so first up we have Cocky, and hopefully they get a little bit cocky and we can hopefully take advantage of that. So we probably should have played Nova on 1 since we're gonna shuffle our cards. I waited a turn, we probably shouldn't. I'm gonna go ahead and play Angela on 2, and then on 3 we're gonna do either Nova, maybe we do whatever we draw into. It just depends on what we have and what resources we have available. So Maximus is actually a beautiful card as a follow-up on turn 3 just before cards are shuffled into the deck. And so that is going to force them to draw into additional cards. But then right after they draw into them, they're not going to have a chance to utilize them. They're going to have to shuffle them right back into their deck. So we're going to go ahead and snap on this. We don't have Shuri's Lab, but honestly, I think that's okay. We're set up in a pretty decent way. We have Angela that will be able to get pretty large in Monster Metropolis. They don't play on 3, which is interesting. And so we get some even more upside from it. They still have 7 cards in their deck. We have 6 because we had the 1 card played advantage over them, which could come in handy or could be useful later down the line. Now we do have Bishop. We have Sera that we're going to be able to play on 5 to reduce the power of some of our cards. They pull our Angela over with Polaris, which is actually it's okay. We won't have as high of a role in Monster Metropolis, but that helps us win the Atelan location a little bit more easily. So let's go ahead and play, I think, Sera into Monster Metropolis, and we're going to have to look out for what they're going to play, because they haven't really played much since dropping Nova on 1, and then Polaris is their 1-card follow-up on 4. And so they drop a Professor X into Monster Metropolis. I'm glad that we snapped early. That allowed us to get 2 cubes versus the 1. Let's go ahead and jump into the next one, see if we can find a more traditional Shuri's Lab match. And the first location is Westview, so we don't know what that's going to turn into. And so we steal their Taskmaster. We know that they have at least a Taskmaster. So we need to keep an eye out for any really strong plays that they have, because we know that they're going to be able to copy it. We do have Shang-Chi in hand, so we can take out one of the lanes. But if we don't have a win condition and a pretty big tempo in the other 2, then we might not be able to keep pace with them. So let's go with a Bishop. If they end up dropping a wave on turn 5 to try to sneak out, maybe they're trying to sneak out a death, we're going to have Sera on 5. That's going to allow us to drop 2 cards on that final turn if they do go with the wave. If not, then we of course can drop quite a few. So we can either go with Killmonger or we can go with Carnage. I'm still a little bit concerned that they are looking for as many death triggers as they can get. And so I'm going to go with Carnage just so that we find the upside here. I wouldn't be surprised if they did the same thing. Ooh, they used a Nakia and an Okoye. So their deck is going to be buffed. The leftmost 2 cards that they had in their hand are going to be buffed as well. Those could end up being pretty big. So let's go with the Sera play here. It's going to allow us to drop multiple cards on turn 6 to do hopefully some pretty big things. If we can destroy one of their cards in Mojo World and create a card advantage for ourselves, then that's going to be great. They do have they do have an angel in Mojo World, so we know that we're at least going to be able to take out one of their cards there with our Killmonger. And so now it comes down to how do we want to play our resources. So we could cap out this location with something like a Killmonger and a Maximus. We could just use Killmonger. Then we can do a Shang-Chi here, and then we do a Hood. The Hood is all that we would have the extra energy for in this location. We could do it after the Killmonger if we're. Let's do it before the Killmonger. So let's do our Hood. Let's do Shang-Chi to destroy this Carnage. Then we're going to do Killmonger here. And it's going to take out their Angel. It's going to take out the Hood. So that way we have a +2 power bonus here. That pushes us to 3. If they don't invest resources here, then we get the win. If they don't invest resources here, we get the win here. And I think it gives us a pretty good shot. They did snap on us. I'm not confident enough in the play line to snap back, but I'm confident in it. I'm confident enough in it to stay. Ooh, so they have a Killmonger as well, which of course kills their Angel, which is fine. And then we get the lead in Mojo World. The Shang-Chi in the Shadowland doesn't have a target, but ours does. And so it's one of those situations where the leader play is not always the right play. It's going to give us the win condition in both Mojo World and Shadowland because we have the card advantage. It's one of those scenarios where you can't rely too much on leader, especially on certain decks. So destroy decks or decks that run kill triggers and things like that. Or even combo decks that have the Wong on like double and reveal, you're going to get less out of that trade than they do most of the time in that scenario. Leader can be really, really strong, but it's not good for every scenario. And this was one of those scenarios, luckily for us. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next match. All right, so I think we're going against a bot, but they turn 1 snapped on us, which is concerning. We could have dropped Nova into Murder World, but we didn't really have I don't know that we're going to have enough cards out on the board. We want to do that. We do get Sera, so we're going to get the upside of being able to drop a lot of cards onto the board along with the Elysium. So I don't think we flood our cards. We don't want to push too much power out. A lot of times whenever you get the Elysium location, you gas yourself. You play too many, or a lot of people play too many cards too quickly, and then they don't have a way to finish off the game. They kind of put their hand out on the board, and then from there, the opponent can react. We do want to drop some of our resources, but we do want to do it strategically. So they're going to let this location destroy these 2 cards, I imagine. I think we try to not have initiative going into the final turn, because if they end up getting a big Deadpool, we're going to be able to drop our Killmonger. That's going to kill a 64 power Deadpool. Whatever Deadpool we have, it's going to end up killing it. Ooh, I like the Sabretooth into Shuri's Lab destruction combo. Because then if you have a Venom as well, that's a free 8 that doubles into 16. You destroy it with Venom. I like that combo. I also like the Hulkbuster combo in that location. It creates a really, really big, powerful play. So they have the Soldier. Let's go ahead and drop our Sera. That's going to reduce our cards even further from the Elysium. So we're going to be able to drop a lot of resources onto the board. And their Carnage isn't quite to 9, but if they do consolidate it, we still have the potential to draw into our Shang-Chi. We have 2 more draws. Shang-Chi is going to be really good at helping us swing this location. And so they do drop their Deadpool back again. They're able to drop their Deathlock as well, so it's a 4-power Deadpool at this point. I'm kind of surprised that they have not dropped it into Shuri's Lab. So we still want to be cautious and not grab... We don't want to grab initiative going into this final turn. And so I think we just go with a pretty simple Hulkbuster, which becomes a 28 power Sera. And then from there, we can look for a win condition. The reason we don't want to grab initiative is we want to be able to flood all of these cards onto the board on that final turn, strategically use our Shang-Chi after they drop their final move of the game. We have Killmonger as a kill condition as well. And so we're just going to stop after the Killmonger. Because if we draw into Captain Marvel, she's going to be 5/4. She's going to be cost 3, and we can still play 3 of these. So we can actually play all but the Shang-Chi at that point. We have a couple of conditions. So they do drop their Deadpool into Shuri's Lab, but that's fine. They do the Killmonger trigger, so it's a 16 power Deadpool. But again, we're okay with that. We have a lot of reach going into this final turn. They have initiative because they're winning these 2. And so we can double down on Captain Marvel. Even if they have a Shang-Chi, Captain Marvel is going to be able to land because their Shang-Chi would reveal before ours would. We can go with the Carnage here. We know that that is a guaranteed hit. And then we can end up going with something like Maximus to allow our Captain Marvel to move if they do drop a Shang-Chi. Or maybe we don't go Maximus here. No, if we go Shang-Chi, if we went Shang-Chi, I think we would need to go with the Killmonger. So I think we're going to go Maximus into Nova, into Carnage, into Killmonger. That's going to give us a really big push, a decent push here and here. As long as we can win this location heavily enough, which the Maximus here I think would be plenty. Killmonger is going to take care of any Deadpools that we run into. We're just going to have a pretty big final turn. And of course they do as well, so the Deadpool becomes a 32 power. That's fine. We have Killmonger for that. We have Captain Marvel that's now going to be a 12 power unit that can float across the board for us. Our Maximus can hold down Shuri's lab. And then Killmonger will come in here in just a second. We're going to buff the rest of our cards with the Carnage Nova interaction. So now it's a 13 power Captain Marvel. We take out their Deadpool that frees up Captain Marvel to move across the board, find our win condition in mid, and we do end up taking away the game with this one because we were able to kind of hold back our cards. We had that bigger power push on that final turn, which, I mean, technically they had a bigger power push, but we had the counter cards to play. And so initiative is something that with this deck or with counter plays, you want to be cognizant of. Sometimes you're going to want to strategically not have initiative going into those final turns, and this is one of those decks that in some games you'll want to do that with. All right, next up we have Nietzsche, and the first location is Shuri's lab, so we're going to be able to do the cool interactions there. We have Hulkbuster as a way to merge with whatever we drop in that location. So if it's a Captain Marvel, that can be a 32 power roving unit across the board, but we have Sera, so that depending on what they drop, we're very likely to want to drop our Shang-Chi to destroy whatever they end up pushing. So the Sentinel is something new that I haven't seen before. So are they going to continue to multiply their Sentinels? If so, then we have a pretty decent way to push that power. We do have Killmonger as a trigger. I think we go ahead and drop our Killmonger. It's going to destroy the 1-cost cards. If we had Death, then this would be perfect. We would have a really cheap Death here. Ooh, so they drop a Nova and then a Carnage to destroy their Sentinel? That's so strange to me. They do get a really, really big Carnage, but that's an easy Shang-Chi target now because it's 18 power, very, very fed Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is getting his workout in today. He is taking on all of the baddies that he possibly can. Maybe we drop Shang-Chi early. If they go with a Venom here, that'll take out the Venom before they can do any kind of like movement or counter movement with it. Let's go with the Shang-Chi. We know we at least have one solid target with it. And then we have the Sera play. That's going to allow us to do a Captain Marvel plus like a Maximus or a Captain Marvel and something else on the final turn to try and find our win condition. And so for this turn, let's go with a Sera. We're going to probably drop Captain Marvel and Maximus into Shuri's lab on the final turn. We're probably going to give up Muir Island. If they have like a Shang-Chi, then if we go into this not having initiative, we can safely drop our Captain Marvel and Maximus without having to worry. And it does look like we're going to go into the final turn with them having the initiative, which is good. That is what we need. That's what we want. And so now we don't have to worry about our Captain Marvel getting destroyed, even if they have the Shang-Chi to destroy this one. We don't have to worry about these two getting destroyed. And so let's go with the Captain Marvel, the Maximus in Shuri's lab. I think the 12 power roving unit should be enough to find us a win condition in one of these other lanes. And so they're going to go with a Sentinel, which will become a 6 power Sentinel. That's not going to be enough. After our Maximus comes down, he's going to be 14 power. That's going to free our Captain Marvel up to go across the board wherever she needs to, whether that be mid or far right. She would be able to swing and turn both. And that's going to be the power of Captain Marvel, your Shang-Chi, your Sera interaction with this list. And it does really, really well. You can get a lot of 4 and 8 cube games because going into the last couple of turns, it looks like you have a relatively weak hand or a relatively weak board, and then all of a sudden you flip all of these really big power plays on them, and they don't really have much time to react. And so with that one, we are going to go ahead and end the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave it a like and a comment down below. Let me know what decks you're running for today. This has been my favorite so far, but let me know what combinations you're seeing, what you are running. As always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.